The most obvious move for the Boston Bruins has finally happened, and they've signed Tyler Johnson. David Pastrnak was benched, but like a professional, owns up to his mistakes. The Bruins prepare for their game against the division rival, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I'm going to be there. So buckle up, Bruins fans. I'm here to give you the latest info on your beloved Boston Bruins. If you've been liking my Bruins content, please leave me a like and subscribe. If you've already done so, thank you, and let's get into it. Don't worry, this won't be a long one, but wanted to give you an update. The Boston Bruins have signed Tyler Johnson finally. The press release reads, Boston Bruins general manager Don Sweeney announced today, November 4th, that the team has signed forward Tyler Johnson to a one-year NHL contract through the 2024-25 season with a cap hit of $775,000. Johnson, 34, appeared in 67 games with the Chicago Blackhawks in 2023-24, recording 17 goals and 14 assists for 31 points. The 5'8 forward, 185-pound forward, had appeared in 738 career NHL games with the Chicago Blackhawks and the Tampa Bay Lightning, tallying 193 goals and 238 assists for 431 points. The Spokane, Washington native was originally signed as a free agent by Tampa Bay in 2011. The Bruins had just over $1.2 million in cap space before the signing, so they still have the tiniest bit of little room after the signing. They could, though, always send down Max Jones to Providence, and then he's going to clear waivers, and it'll just gain him more space. The question now is, where's Johnson fit in the lineup? My first thought is he slots in on the third line on the wing, and Geekie takes a seat. Now, Geekie has played well recently, but having Johnson on the roster is a luxury because we all know Montgomery loves to shuffle his lines, and this is going to let him do it again. I wouldn't be surprised if he moves Brazeau down to the third line and Johnson up to the second line with Coyle and Zacha, though. Brazeau has been a bright spot for the Bruins as of late and has had no issue on any line he plays. Brazeau looks to know his role in Boston and is playing very well. He drives to the net, he's tough on the forecheck, and doesn't hurt that he's been scoring lately as well. Patra has played much better at center than he has on the wing. So if I'm Montgomery, I wouldn't move him. So for me, that only leaves the wing for Johnson. Also, we'll get to have him on the power play because we all know the power play needs it. No word on when Johnson will get in the lineup as Montgomery had already spoken to the media and then they announced the signing. Let me know in the comments, though, where you think Johnson slots in. Well, the mystery's been solved, and David Pastrnak was sat in the third period for a giveaway late in the second period when he tried to do it all on his own entry. Now, this year, many more players on the Bruins have done worse, but Montgomery, like what he did with Marchand, wanted to send a message to the team. Montgomery spoke about it to the media today.
In his way right now.
Well, I think it's the same thing that's in the whole team's way is it's a little bit of chemistry. It's a little bit of people relishing their roles on their team. That's not so much for Pasta. He knows what his role is. But, if you look at the course of our season, like we look disjointed at times. We're starting to trend the right way. But a lot of that comes down to those things.
Monty, middle of last week, after the 8-2 loss, a lot of talk on social media about your future with the Bruins. Do you hear any of that noise at all? And if you do, how do you kind of focus on what's important and push that out?
Well, the way I deal with it is there's a great poem. It's called Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. And it's a lot of what I believe in the process of our team is you only control the present. And if you worry about the past and dwell on the past, it brings up anxiety or worry or contentment, depending on what you're thinking about. And if you worry about the future, which you don't control, well, then you're really going to have anxiety. So that's where my mindset goes. And, with the struggles I've had personally, that poem really reinforced what I need to worry about, which is the next 24 hours. And that's the way I live my life.
Then after this weekend, rattle off back-to-back shutouts, a little bit validating to see, okay, this brand of hockey works, and we know it works.
I'm not there yet with that. Just being honest, there's too many lapses in our game right now where we're not a 60-minute team, and we just need to continue to build up. We're better, but we're not where we need to be.
Last night, the guys talked about Pasta being vocal and supportive and sort of into it in the third period, even though he wasn't on the ice. How much do you like as a coach just to see that response from one of your leaders in that particular situation?
Yeah, he was incredible. Very vocal, picking up players at the last 15 seconds, talking about what a great team win this is. I said this since the beginning. I've said it numerous times. I'm really lucky to work with the leaders I get to work with. I'm very fortunate. In other places, like you've seen coaches that, you know, it's a big problem. And I'm lucky with the accountability that exists in this culture and the leaders that I get to deal with, because that allows me to hold everybody accountable.
In your group video sessions, when you see things that need to be corrected, do you make it a point to include clips that show players doing things that you like, or do you have to play it straight and say, this is where the deficiencies are, this is where the...
No, yeah, I think you have to do both. And it just depends on the timing. Like yesterday, we showed clips. It was 8 clips. 4 of our puck pressure, all positive. 4 of us playing north and being connected offensively and defensively. You know, because before a game, when you don't have a lot of time, players need to get to set them in. This is the image you want. Now, you have a couple of days between games. Now you're going to show a couple of teaching clips, but I always follow it up with a positive. This is what it should look like.
I know you said you're still trying to work on chemistry between the lines, but
They're getting better. I like the lines the last 2 games.
the current configuration,
The current configuration is pretty good. I see 3 lines really developing chemistry. I see a 4th line starting to come, you know, lacking a little bit of identity. But the way it flows, the lines flow as far as coming out of power play back to 5-on-5, coming out of penalty kill, everything that way, it's, for me as a coach, it's a lot more fluid.
What Pastrnak did was bad. Did it warrant being benched for a whole period? I don't think so. But I'm not here in the room, and Montgomery spoke about he isn't convinced yet that they're playing the right way all the time. Montgomery has been letting guys on the team cause giveaways like this all year, and the game's gotten away from them. So hopefully, the message was received by the rest of the players, because it sounds like it was for Pastrnak.
Yeah, of course. That was a bad turnover, so how I said, I take responsibility for it. Accountability, I guess, is the best word. And you know, I just want to move forward. I don't want to be any distraction to our team. You know, the guys know how I feel about them in here, and it's a bad play. So how I said, I take the accountability and already moving forward.
So far this year, Montgomery has made examples of Marchand and now Pastrnak. Both players have handled it like leaders, and it says a lot about the culture on the Boston Bruins. They have no passengers anymore, or guys that want to complain publicly that they don't think they're being treated fairly. They're looking inwards and wanting to get better. We've seen far too many players over the years here in Boston take shots on their way out the door or say things publicly while they're here about their ice time, when in fact the only person that can change that is themselves, and both Pastrnak and Marchand blame themselves instead of the others around them. I was a little worried Pastrnak would be injured because, as I said before, I'm going to the game in Toronto on Tuesday, and I wouldn't want to miss Pastrnak play the Toronto Maple Leafs. David Pastrnak has played 25 regular season games against the Toronto Maple Leafs in his career and has 20 goals and 18 assists for 38 points. And is plus 10. Pastrnak always talks about how he gets excited to play the Leafs because his best friend William Nylander's on the team, and he loves to beat him. We're also going to get a Pastrnak playing in a game right after he got sat for a whole period, so I expect him to come out flying. Sometimes players need a little kick in the butt to wake them up. Yes, Pastrnak has been scoring, but his back check and choices he's made on the ice have been costing this team. He's a leader on the Boston Bruins and needs to act like one off the ice and on the ice. No word on who will be starting for the Bruins in Toronto, but if I'm a betting man, I'm going with Swayman. I want to hear your thoughts, though, on the whole Pastrnak benching. That's a wrap on today's video. To stay up to date on all the news surrounding the Boston Bruins, please subscribe and drop me a like. If news breaks surrounding the Boston Bruins, be sure to check out the channel. If you've already subscribed to the channel, thank you, and I'll see you next time.